Most people overpay for gaming PCs like this. Here's why this Corsair Vengeance a7500 is different. I've been running it for a few weeks now, and honestly, it's hard to find a better balance of power and price without jumping into custom builds. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the specs are legit. You're getting an RTX 5060 paired with a Ryzen 5 9600X, both of which are still top tier for 1440p gaming. I've been running Cyberpunk 2077 at max settings with DLSS balanced, and it's hitting 90+ FPS consistently. That's not something you see in pre-builts this often, especially not at this price point. The 16GB of DDR5 RAM is also future-proof enough that you won't be bottlenecking for a while, and the 1TB NVMe SSD means you've got plenty of space for games and files without waiting forever for load times. The cooling setup is where this really stands out. The liquid-cooled Ryzen 5 9600X stays cool under load, and the Corsair 3500X case actually does a great job managing airflow. I've pushed it with some heavy workloads, and the temps never spiked in a concerning way. The RGB lighting is a nice touch too. It's subtle but looks clean in a dark room, which is something a lot of pre-builts mess up with over-the-top lighting. The case also has decent cable management, so you're not staring at a rat's nest behind your PC. One thing I really appreciate is how quiet it stays. A lot of pre-builts sound like jet engines when they're under load, but this one stays pretty quiet thanks to the liquid cooler and the case fans. If you're gaming late at night or working in the same room, that's a big deal. The power supply is also fully modular, which makes upgrades or swaps way easier down the line. You don't have to deal with a bunch of tangled cables every time you open the case. The build quality feels solid too. Corsair's pre-builts have come a long way, and this one doesn't feel cheap. The motherboard is a decent B650 model, which is fine for most users, and the RAM is running at 6000 MHz, which is right where you want it for Ryzen. The only thing I'd note is that the storage is only 1 TB, which might feel tight if you're installing a lot of games. But you can always add another drive later, and the case has room for it. For the price, this is one of the better pre-built options out there. Most people end up paying way more for similar specs, or they get stuck with weaker components to cut costs. Corsair nailed the balance here. If you're looking for a gaming PC that's ready to go out of the box without breaking the bank, this is a solid pick. Pros-wise, the performance is great for the price, the cooling is quiet and effective, and the build quality is solid. The only real downsides are the 1 TB storage, which might feel small if you're a heavy gamer, and the fact that you're stuck with Corsair's warranty if something goes wrong. But honestly, that's pretty standard for pre-builts. If you're on the fence, I'd say go for it. The link is below if you want to check it out. For most buyers, the real question is not whether Corsair Vengeance a7500 gaming PC, liquid-cooled AMD Ryzen 5 9600X CPU, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5060 GPU, 16GB Vengeance RGB DDR5 memory, 1TB M.2 SSD. Black sounds impressive on paper, but whether strengths like GeForce RTX 50 series graphics card and liquid-cooled AMD Ryzen 9000 series processor actually make daily use feel easier, more dependable, and more worthwhile after the first few days of excitement wear off. It is also smart to think about long-term satisfaction. A product like Corsair Vengeance a7500 gaming PC, liquid-cooled AMD Ryzen 5 9600X CPU, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5060 GPU, 16GB Vengeance RGB DDR5 memory, 1TB M.2 SSD. Black usually feels like the better buy when it stays convenient, comfortable, and reliable in normal everyday use instead of only looking good in the listing.